Hypocrisy.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Lawsplaining the Interwebs. I am your host, Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law, a small law firm in central Minnesota, and I just had one of the most fun and invigorating conversations I've had in a long time with my good friend Joe, Good Logic, over on his channel. And if you did not catch it, if you're watching this right now and you didn't catch my conversation with Joe, I really think that that you should, because we hit on so many different topics that are on all different levels of our life, including legal topics, political topics, media topics, and one of the most fun things I have talking with anybody, questions of religion, morality, and ethics. So much fun having people have to deal with my bullshit on that, because look, I think these are really challenging things for us to deal with, and getting to like kind of talk with someone and present some of the struggles that I've wrestled with throughout my entire life on these things, I think is really it's really fun, and it's not something you get to do too terribly often. So I really enjoyed that. It was a great conversation in my opinion. And Joe, of course, is my brother, who I'm very happy to have met online, but of course, really happy to have met in person as well. And I can't wait for the next time we get to hang out and drink and have some random off-duty nurse hitting on one of us. I don't even know. Like, frankly, I can't tell who she was hitting on. She might have been hitting on me. She might have been hitting on Joe, but both of us decided it was funny, and it was a good time. So, and by a good time, I literally just mean we were having a good conversation, and then this very weird thing happened where suddenly someone was interested in two drunk lawyers talking. Well, one drunk lawyer, he was just drinking water, talking to each other. That's great. So I do apologize for being late. I was a little late to Joe's stream. Everybody asked me to come on streams, which I love, but they all start like while I'm dealing with kids stuff, which in this case, 9 o'clock is when I tell my kids, will you please, for the love of God, start going to bed? And then 11 o'clock when I start my own show, which I'm guilty of this too, is when I tell them, go to sleep. Oh my God, go to sleep. So that is, that's that. But thank you all for being here and hanging out with me tonight. We've got a show that is a little bit, I haven't done one of these sort of, I'm trying to, how do I word this? I feel like a lot of the shows lately, I'm trying to force a format that I invented in my mind about how my show used to be. And I don't think it's right. I don't think it's right. And it's a weird thing as a creator to have kind of how you do something evolve, because it evolves in this organic way, but you don't really notice because it happens over time. And then like you just kind of figure, well, it's been this way a lot. Like, this is how I do things. And sometimes it's not true. And I think a lot of my shows a while ago were more philosophically driven, in whatever the fuck that means. But I think you'll get my drift as I say it, even if I'm imprecise here. I think they were a little more philosophically driven. I think they're more about concepts and themes. And then what I would do is I would weave in maybe some current news stories or current issues or lawsuits to kind of fit into that philosophical mold. And I think I've drifted away from talking about more of that philosophy, more of the conceptual aspects that I really kind of enjoy talking about. I think I've drifted away from that, not intentionally, but like in this sort of, okay, I have to plan a show today. Let me go find stories and then talk about these stories. And then if I get something out of them, then that will be kind of the theme. But that's not the way I should be approaching any of this, because the way I used to approach shows, and I think the way I'm more successful at approaching shows is having a philosophical point that things fit into, and being a little bit more narrative with it, a little bit more animated, and a little bit more me, injecting me into things. And really, I think we're good at injecting. I want to be injecting as much as I can into any opening that's available, right? Like we want to find the opening and inject into it. That's what we want to do. So so that's what I'm trying to do, get a little bit more into. By the way, speaking of injecting, welcome to Good Logic and his viewers. Thank you so much for rating the channel and hanging out with us tonight. I love being over on Joe's show and hanging out with you guys there, and I appreciate all of you who hang out with me here. But yeah, that's so tonight I have a little bit more of this philosophical show about conceptual journalism, conceptual modern spreading of information, and the risks posed by our government, our corporations, and our media to that. They are, and this is something I've talked about for a long time, but I think it merits striking at the spike again with the sledgehammer, and that's what I'm going to do tonight. And here's what I'm going to ask you guys to do. This is critically important to me. And I don't ask this a lot. And so please bear with me on this. If you like this show more than some of the other shows I've been doing, and more like if I'm getting back towards the format that people are more favorable towards, please tell me in the comments on YouTube, tell me in the comments on Rumble, and click the damn thumbs up. If this show tickles your penis more than the shows I've been doing recently, I really, really want you to let me know. Because look, I can feel when the show doesn't feel right to me, but I can't always tell if like that feeling is like based in truth or not, because I'm self-critical, but you also like have to compensate for self-criticalism as like, am I just being overly hard on myself? So if this, like, reserve your judgment, please. But if this ends up being the type of thing that you're like more wanting to see, let me know. I do check and try and read that stuff and absorb it. Even if I disagree with it, I do try and absorb it and take notes. So trying to get a little bit more into the swing and the natural flow of the show, because for the past couple months, even good shows, I felt kind of unnatural about them. And I don't like forcing anything, except no, that's a joke. Jesus Christ, stop it! You're not a Rumble. I don't like forcing anything in regards to the show. This is not supposed to be performative. It is not a performance. This is a conversation. One thing I've always loved about doing this show is I get to be me and I get to be honest. Now, I'm always honest on the show to the best of my ability. I mean, I guess I could fuck something up. I don't know. Maybe I misremember. I try to be honest as possible. If I misremember something, please excoriate me. That's fine. But the one thing that lately I haven't felt as much is I haven't felt me as much. And I love feeling me. I was just talking about how God gave Moses permission to feel himself too, right? When the snake became turgid, when he grabbed it. But with that said, God, it's like a constant quest to get back to what feels right and good about doing a show, because this should always be fun. And you guys, I mentioned and like over spilled my stupid baby guts with you guys the other day about how like shitty I felt going into the Philadelphia trip, how it was like just burnout and burnout and burnout. And that's because when things are pushed unnaturally, that's when you're overexerting. That's when things become tiring, and it should not be tiring ever. It should always be natural. This should be the state that you're in when you do this, in my opinion. So with that, oh shit, here we go. I'll pin this, Zeno. Thank you. Thank you for fixing that. That should be the way things go. So if you find that this is more to your fancy, go ahead, click those likes and drop comments reflecting that. It would be greatly helpful for me. I love the feedback that people give. That's all about help. So that being said, as stated, as we have in the title, this is Monday Madness, why we can't trust our media, corporations, or our government. And we're gonna get deeply, cervically philosophical with this one. Because I think this is a critically fucking important topic. And I think so many people get it so wrong. Not intentionally. I think we've been propagandized for all sorts of reasons and in all sorts of ways. And we're not always aware of that propaganda. All right. And people can fall victim to it. And there is a concerted, collusive effort between our government, our major media, and our major corporations that are all global powers with global interests that run afoul of American interests. And I'm speaking predominantly to Americans here, even though this will apply to everybody. It does apply to everybody across the planet, but we're talking about American ideals, American concepts here. So if they're a little foreign to you, I'm sorry that God decided to put you in a different country than the only one that matters. But we're gonna get into that in just a second. Let me hit the original the early super chats that have come in. I want to make sure we get those taken care of and addressed. And one more thing tonight, I'm gonna do somehow. This is gonna be a disaster, but somehow we're gonna organize a call-in show on locals, exclusive to locals. I'm not 100% sure how to do that yet, but I think I have a way. And so the locals exclusive show, now it may be a crash and burn fest, but I want to start doing this where the locals live streams have where I can do call in shows for my locals community. So if you're interested in watching that trash fire build, you can certainly do that tonight, ricadalaw.locals.com after this show. And then I've done the call-in shows on the main show before, and I don't know, there's something about them feels like off. It's like too much, too many people or something. And it feels really trying. But I think in the more intimate and gay setting of locals, we can do that. And also, in locals, there's no concern about what people say. We can actually, explore topics and questions. I don't have to worry about someone coming on and being like, binger, 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 or whatever. So AG Biochemist says, good. I'm going to call you a faggot. Yeah, that's fine. Do it. I'm with it 100%. That's the most fun. That's the most fun. So that'll be tonight on, ricadalaw.locals.com. And again, this is me trying to work in a fun way to incorporate something that some people really like, which is the call-in shows, but not have it take the place of the main show. Cause I do think they run off the rails. All right. So here we go. Rhett Navy Davy says, hey, Nick, I really enjoyed the great discussion on Joe's stream. Please do the Sunday locals religious talks. Yes. Rhett Navy Davy, they are high on my list of things that I want to do. I'm going to see if I can get that preliminary Sunday religious talk stream, or it's going to be a video, not a stream, that I put up on locals as a primer for it. That doesn't have to be done on a Sunday. I just really want to get that out and get get my hands clean, so to speak, going into this topic. Because one thing that I've really held off on discussing religion and faith and morality is coming across as trying to preach a religion, faith, or morality. I'm not qualified to preach religion, faith, or morality, and I don't want anyone under the assumption that I am professing to be a great embodiment of it. I'm a guy who has a set of beliefs, and I work really damn hard on them, and I fail miserably, like I think a lot of us do really often. And part of starting to talk about that conversation is literally admitting failure in those fields over and over and as thoroughly as possible, because Again, so many people, and this is one of my big problems with organized religion, frankly, is that so many leaders and teachers are moral failures. And while many of them will pay nod and lip service to the idea that, oh, yeah, I screw up and sin sometimes, it's always this like out there concept. Well, yeah, I've failed and sinned. It's like, well, tell me how. Tell me how. Where did you sin? Like, what was it? You run over a dog and not tell anybody? Like, what did you do? What moral failing was there? Did you steal the last cookie? Were you gluttonous one time? Like, because that's always a great, like, well, I've sinned, I went to that all you can eat buffet and I was real gluttonous. It's like, really? Really? Or did you pull up like a 12-hour porn session and jerk off till you couldn't anymore because your wife was out of town? Like, what one was it? Which sin are we talking about here? That's what I want to know. I don't want you to just pay lip service to the idea that you sinned, man. Come fucking clean with it. But in fairness to them, they kind of can't. They kind of can't because they'll get fired for certain sins and they'll be praised for others. That gluttony sin, by the way, gets praised in Christian churches all the time. All the time. While other sins are forbidden. It's like, yeah, I don't know that they're all that different. All right. So anyway, long story short, I'm coming clean before I profess to engage in talks about religion and morality. And part of that coming clean is trying to set the stage appropriately for what those talks are intended to do. They're intended to help people explore their own, not to profess and preach to them on what they should be. Because, again, you can go watch Joe's show if you want to talk about my perspectives on morality and objectivity, which I think, I've reasoned through them quite a bit. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Where else were we? Ben Faber says, here's your half of the morals super chat that derailed Joe's stream. Lol. Thank you, brother. I don't think it derailed it. I think it put it on the rails. I think it put it right in the rails of something we should be talking about very frequently and don't. Kyle Bogue, and I'm guilty of that. Kyle Bogue says, hey, what's up, guys? I'm your host, Lefty Lulz, and I'm taking over this channel since Joe trans me into Arcata Law. I will not, however, be assuming responsibility for Monty and David Dingleberry. JD, welcome to Paralegal, or announcing 13 months of Paralegal. Thank you for that. Horsehead, it says Paralegal, but you have the super lawyer badge. I don't know. The badge system seems fucked up to me. John Barrett says, I'm like feeling me. I will leave feeling you to you. Well, that's no fun. Just Joy with a super chat with no message. And then a follow-up super chat that says, hey, Rackets, asking for prayers and toast to my husband of 32 years, shattered legs 2 weeks ago. Oh, God. Today, post-op, found infection, needs a second surgery tomorrow. Very scary outlook. He's my everything. Thanks. Just Joy, you're not supposed to say that last part. Horsehead, I didn't actually skip you. I do the $20 super chats first. I accidentally said yours. I apologize, but I'll read it in just a second because of my mistake. Look, I'm a good business. If I make a mistake, I own it. I know he is your everything, Just Joy. You're not supposed to say that because I'm supposed to be detached emotionally from everything. And that's a real thing. That's a real emotion. And I get it. All right. Whoo! Here we go. Just Joy, to your husband. To your husband. May he find peace, comfort, and compassion in your love and commitment. May he find expertise, wisdom, and skill in his doctor's execution of their training. May it go beyond their expectations, and may he find healing that is miraculous, unexpected, and complete. Cheers to you and him. Damn allergies. RZEQDW says, I got laid off 2 months ago. I have until July 31st to find a new software job or I lose my right to be in the U.S. I've been here for 12 years. I don't have a home to go back to. I'm very scared. Is anyone hiring? And guys, Look, RZEQDW is a friend of mine. He's a fantastic dude, very cool, very chill, and also very skilled in software engineering. He would be an excellent addition to any company. If you are hiring a software engineer, or if any company you know is looking for a competent software engineer, please hit me up. I will personally put you in touch with him. I would love to help facilitate him staying in the US and not being exiled back to the shitty north. So let's help him out. Um, again, this is someone who is far more American than many Americans you know. Many Americans you know. All right, here we go. And Geiga Mango Fanta says, so David Schneider, Melon Mole, Esther, I think he means eater. Melon Mole, Esther, Creamy, Creepy, Steve, Chris Chan, the Ralph Mail, and Lucas Roberts all walk into a bar where you are. Of these amazing individuals, who do you buy a drink? Who do you chat with? Mary or Baldo? I would buy Ralph a drink. I would. Because of all of the people on that list, the one person that well, maybe buying Ralph a drink would be a bad idea because of his condition. But that being said, the one person I am most frustrated with the drama between us of all of those people is Ralph. I never didn't like Ralph. I just didn't like what fucking happened. It was not supposed to be. And I don't like seeing where he is. For whatever is between us, seeing people in that drama shit and that pain is not high on my list. I don't like have fun with that. Who do I chat with? Mary or Baldo? I would chat with David Schneider. I'd absolutely chat with him. Well, I'd marry Keffels, I guess, because it's the closest thing to a woman. And I'd move to India where wife burning was illegal. And I would Baldo Chris Chan, because I think he'd like it the most. So there you go. Eric the Red says, so wife is getting induced on Wednesday, and we are welcoming our first kid to our family. Very cool, man. Super congrats to that. Appreciate all the streams as they've kept me entertained through some late nights. Any advice for a new 43-year-old dad? Yeah, same advice I have for every dad that ever exists. First of all, it's the most fun. It's the most fun and most rewarding thing that men can do is be a dad. I know it's very unpopular to say because we're supposed to pretend that that bearing children and actually committing ourselves to a relationship is like not what we're wired to do or something. That's too traditional. You need to just not do that or something. I don't know. But having a child is it's challenging, it's tough, it's hard, it's tiring, it's exhausting, and they're little bastards sometimes, but they're also the best bastards you'll ever meet. And they're so cool. So for one, enjoy it because it's a fun adventure. But two, and this is the most real advice I can give anybody, is there are going to be times now when you're more tired than you've ever been, more stressed and more frustrated than you've ever been. And those things are going to be represented by a little screaming baby who just won't go to sleep or just won't eat or just won't do whatever you really need them to do for them to live. And when that happens, you have to know something because as a first-time parent, you don't always get this. Set them down in their crib and walk away. Walk away. And they will cry and they will bitch and they will moan and they will live just fine. And they won't go anywhere because they're too dumb to crawl, stupid babies. They can't figure anything out. So you just set them down in the damn crib. You walk away, go drink some milk or whatever you need to do. Take a breath. Take a minute for yourselves. Take 10 minutes for yourself. Go in and check on the baby. Baby will be fine. Might be crying. It'll be fine. If you're fine, pick the baby up. Sit on a bouncy ball. Do whatever you need to do. If you're not fine, walk the fuck away. And 10 minutes later, that baby will still be there, will still be alive. Very good intentioned people get very bad results when they lose their tempers. As a lawyer, and as a foster parent, and as family of foster parents who have been foster parents for 30 years, and as friends with foster parents who've been foster parents for 30 years, walk away from the baby and take 10, 15, 20 minutes. Go check on them every 10 minutes. They're still crying. Guess what? If you were holding them, they'd still be crying. You'll be fine. They'll be fine. Babies are resilient, wonderful creatures until you do something stupid. So that is my advice to every parent ever, because it's so critically fucking important that parents realize that they can just walk away from the baby and the baby will be okay. Do that. Tweety US News, do not hold the baby. Nope. Sometimes you need to put the baby down and walk away. I mean that. So there you go. That is the most real and honest baby advice you will get from anyone that I know. And I have watched way too many videos and been to way too many trainings about parents who love their kids very much and did not set them down and walk away. Please don't ever end up in that category. Please. Okay. Here we go. Updoots says, Nick just got fired from my professor of CS job at a CC. Is that Christian studies at a community a Christian college? I'm going to pay out my salary through August 24th. My evaluations are exemplary, so I don't know why yet. You might have seen my social media. So yeah, have to call the HR BTCH. Oh, bitch tomorrow to find out, but I'm not going to. Going to talk to Fire first, at least. You have any advice? No, I have no idea. But if you talk to me about your situation a little more specifically, probably in private, maybe we could, maybe I'd have some more specific advice for you. Julian Delfiki says, looking forward to the philosophizing. Well, it's about to happen here. It's about to happen because we are, I believe, through the initial chats. And let's preface this conversation, which is, again, intended to be a little bit more philosophizing with a couple news stories thrown in for flavor. All right. Okay. So it's a nice right-wing meme. Big Boop says, where do we direct job openings for your friend? To ricadalaw@ricada.org. Send them there and put job opening for your friend in giant fucking capitals on the subject so I don't ignore it. Please. Please. All right. Okay. It is a meme on the right to say that we can't trust our media, right? Like you can hear Mark Levin and you can hear Sean Hannity. We can't trust our media. Them fucking dummies. You dummies. Right? Like you can hear them kind of just go ahead and speak from major media. You can hear a little Ben Shapiro or Matt Walsh talking about not trusting media while creating an overtly specific media company and corporation that acts like every other media company, but it's based because they said who is a woman or whatever, right? Here's the deal. It is certainly a meme to say we can't trust our media, but guys, we cannot fucking trust the media. And we know that. But why can't we trust the media? Why is it so critical today to understand that we can't trust the media? And let's lump in major corporations and our government all together in this. Okay? All together because they all belong together in this. And I'm going to start with a little history lesson that I've told before on this channel. It was a long time ago. People have short memories. Audiences are gender fluid. Audiences are fluid. And sometimes you got to just repeat yourself, because no matter how many times you say something, there's no guarantee that anyone actually fucking heard it. All right. And to do this, we got to go back to the olden days of American media. We're talking the late 1700s, the 1800s, and the early 1900s. If you don't know, every major metropolitan area used to have a whole litany of newspapers. Newspapers and pamphlets were a popular way of spreading information up until the invention of radio and then the advent of the television. What you just had was a printing press. And you had people in every town across America selling somebody's paper. Now, in New York, you would obviously have more papers than you would have in Scranton, Pennsylvania, or whatever, where Joe came from. It doesn't matter. Bigger cities, more papers, but every city had a paper. They had to. It's the only way to get information that was current. Otherwise, you're talking to, you're getting a paper that's days old news. And sometimes, depending on where you were, that was what you did. They would matriculate out into rural communities as well. But metropolitan areas would often have multiple papers. And some of them are still around today. The New York Post, the New York Times, the LA Times. The LA Times would be later. Obviously, Los Angeles is a much younger city than a place like New York, but Washington Post. Some of these are old things. Many of those publications are long dead. They died chewed up by the media war and then the conglomeration of media, which we're going to talk about. But let me tell you why this system is so important. When there were, let's say, 5 to 10 media organizations per city, you had a choice, a genuine, legitimate choice. You got to know the columnists. You got to know the journalists. You got to know the CEO in some way. The journalistic perspective of the media was critical to its success. If you bought a rag that was always wrong or always politically slanted against you, you were a fool. And you had to pay every time you walked up and you dropped your quarter or whatever into the hands of a newsie and they gave you a paper. And then you went home. You were directly in control of the media you consumed for a very, very long time. You bought the thing and then read it. If you didn't want to read the paper, you didn't buy it. There wasn't an incidental encounter with media like we have today, where you turn on your TV and CNN's on, Fox is on, NBC is on, whatever thing. You're at a coffee shop, there's blah, blah. They might have a paper for you to peruse through, but these are direct economic impacts for most people. You walk up, you buy a paper. Maybe it's a dime, maybe it's a quarter, whatever it is. And so you made that choice. You made that choice constantly. You made the choice based on the headlines. You made the choice based on the sales tactic of the newsboy who was selling you the paper. You did all these things. All of these factors went into it. It was a capitalistic market. And that capitalistic market bred a journalistic theory to the paper itself that you were subscribing to. Literally, you were going and saying, I want this perspective. I trust this. Or even if you didn't trust them, you knew them. You trusted the journalist or the CEO of the paper to have a perspective that you understood and was consistent. And if you couldn't understand and have consistent news, you could always just pick up a different paper in town. This is a perfect system? Obviously not, right? Does it mean that the news is always accurate? No. But it meant that it was predictable. It meant that it was consistent. and that the idea of non-bias didn't exist. There's never a time when you'd pick up Pulitzer's paper and think that it wasn't going to be Pulitzer's paper. That was always going to be the thing that you bought. Now, fast forward to the invention and adoption of radio and then television. Now, to be clear, prior to radio and television, we had telegrams. And journalists were grabbing international stories by telegram, of course. This is a way of communicating over long distances, and we start to see the creation of news wires happening. But you're still having this sort of independent spin. With radio and television, something starts to change in the country. And that thing is that someone with enough money gained access to an audience far bigger than the city. It became nationwide. It became something that could be broadcast from sea to shining fucking sea. And sometimes beyond, eventually. And control started to solidify in less and less voices, moneyed voices. They're running their competition out of business. They're buying up their competitions. They start to aggregate and conglomerate into a couple specific things. And eventually we get a news wire organization that exists today. There are 5 major news wires that exist. And I can only ever think of 4. I think the other one might be CNN, but it's basically Associated Press, Reuters, Fox News, NBC, and maybe the other one it might be Bloomberg, but it doesn't really matter who they are, because all of media is reduced to 5 sources today. This isn't nefarious necessarily. This is the economic efficient distribution of very, very scarce resources. It was expensive to have overseas journalists. It was expensive to have nationwide journalists and to have them all operating. But if you had the resources with telephones, with radio, with eventually television, you could broadcast these signals over vast distances. You could relay the signals through multiple stations and spread them across the entire country. And suddenly, all of that competition, all of that capitalism in news media, all of that trust and personal choice in the selection of who you were listening to, all of the rapport built between you and the journalist based on their consistency, based on their integrity, at least your perception of their integrity, is flushed down the drain. And we are left with the adoption of 5 companies' interpretation of the news. You've seen, surely, those videos where there's like 40 news stations and they're all saying the exact same script, like word for word, the exact same thing at the same time with the same phraseology, the same timing, all of that coming through as all of their teleprompters are fed by the same thing. This is the result of the conglomeration and aggregation of media. And it has dominated this country for at least 7 decades, probably longer. All right? Probably longer, but at least 7 decades. And what they did during that time was utilize that to spin a specific narrative that the news was ever intended to be neutral and unbiased. I got news for you. No news organization has ever been neutral or unbiased, nor was it intended to. We should never look at a source as if it is unbiased. One of the funniest things coming up in the media on YouTube is people saying, you're a lawyer, you're supposed to be unbiased. Like, bitch, I'm supposed to be the most biased motherfucker on the planet. I'm literally a paid hitman for an interest. But that being said, there are these notions of unbiased, of neutrality, and they're not real, and they're not achievable, and they're not realistic. And yet, people keep adhering to them because for decades now, these fucking liars have tried to convince us that that's what they are, but they're not. And they never have been. That was a lie. That was a thing to get us to buy. It was a bad but effective marketing tactic. All right. And finally, now, and we're almost at the end of our stupid little history lesson, but finally, now, we have this opportunity through social media and the democratized access to global communication to go back to that heyday of media when literal legends were made. I mean, the Pulitzer Prize still exists, right? When literal legends were made and say, media is ours again. Media, and I don't mean the creators. I mean the buyers. I mean y'all. I mean the consumer has the opportunity to buy what you like at a time, in a way that has never, ever existed in history. Even in its heyday, we are far more able to buy or consume in some way our media than we ever have been. And this is critical because anybody can open a Twitter account, a YouTube account, a Facebook account, a Rumble account, a Gab account. Pick your, I know I just said a bunch of villains that you all hate, and that's great. Pick your medium and then pick your media. It doesn't matter if you hate YouTube because there's an alternative. There's always something that you can do to get around the powers that be for now. We're at this nice balanced spot. All right. But we don't exercise this enough. And I shouldn't say we, because you guys do. I know you're a discerning audience because you picked this dumbass to listen to from time to time. Thank you for that, by the way. But your peers, your friends, your family, your coworkers are not. They don't know this lesson. And no amount of me bitching at the same people about it is ever going to teach them. I need to say it. Everyone I know needs to say it. And so do y'all. Need to educate your friends, your family, your coworkers on why this is so critically goddamn important. Because without it, without the exploitation of the democratization of information, that's a lot of shuns. Without the exploitation of it, we've got a system that is exceedingly powerful and more liberating than any we've ever had that will fly under the radar until it's too late, until it is tamped down, until it is censored, until the competition gets snuffed out over and over and over again. And you see this in creator burnout. You see this in people victims to the algorithm. You see this in platforms getting destroyed. RIP to Parler or whatever. Oh, it's back now. Sure it is. Whatever. We see this over and over. And we can do all the bitching we want. We can sit there and be like, Twitter's evil, YouTube's evil, the algorithm sucks. All true, but fucking also, if we as consumers are not lazy, then the algorithm doesn't have the power to control our content consumption. That's what Rumble is showing us right now. Rumble does not have, Rumble's distribution algorithm is fucking atrocious. It is terrible. There is no discovery. That's not the worst thing on earth, by the way. That is a system where you go, okay, I will bring people to Rumble and people can find the content and then they have to kind of find the content again and again and again. Inconvenient for creators? Sure. Good training for all of us as consumers? Yes. Because, look, I've been on YouTube a long time and watching the numbers fluctuate artificially because, oh, he said something about COVID today, straight down. Numbers tomorrow is going to be shit, and probably for the next 6 weeks. Because what's it matter if YouTube puts the stop button on you? They're going to pay someone else for the ad that you would get, right? Like, that's how it goes. They don't care. It is up to us as consumers to make the conscious choice to engage in media that we trust, to build relationships with creators. And the cool thing is, we have an unprecedented ability because the chat, you guys get to interact with me directly in so many ways. And as gay as he might be sometimes, you get to interact with Tim Pool or The Quartering or fucking Anthony Fantano, who I still love you, Anthony, even though I'm pretty sure you hate me by now. Any of those guys, anybody, it doesn't matter where your media is. It doesn't matter who your creator is. We have this ability to give direct interactive feedback at a time like never before. You couldn't, where are you going to get direct feedback to Anderson Cooper, right? He's going to spray you with Windex while he anals himself with a dildo. Like, that's going to be the response you get if you try and get feedback to a CNN journalist. With us, you get it right now in real time. And the more you want to interact with someone, the more you want to call them a fucking loser or say that they're stupid or wrong on something. I mean, there are capitalistic ways to do that. I'm not calling for that, by the way, but there are capitalistic ways to do that, right? Like, you can pay to have your message read by the creator, or, on my channel, the creator will read it, or even if they don't, the chat will see it if you put a message, depending on the super chat level that you decide to commit to. You have the ability to put your money where your mouth is, very specifically. Or there's other ways to do it. You can do it on someone else's channel. You can do it on a bigger channel. You can go on Tim Pool and be like, hey, that Nick Rekieta guy's a fucking idiot. Go for it. That's a great way to do something to a large audience. And you don't even have to. Of course, you could just build up a Twitter account or whatever, and you just shit all over whoever you want. It's cool. It's great. That's the system that we've got. An unprecedented ability to express information to anybody, from anybody, at any level. And, well, the ability to convert your labor into speech monetarily, either through the creator directly or through some other source. Elon Musk, you pay $8 a month and you get a little bit better algorithm on your Twitter account, right? Very simple. Promote an ad on YouTube saying that Nick Rekieta is a fucking loser who hates everybody and also eats Jews' ashes in his cornflakes or whatever. You can say whatever you want. It's amazing how we have this power to do that. You can pay, I don't know if you know this, you can pay Facebook to show that to 15,000 people, 20,000, 100,000. What do you want to pay? What do you want to pay? You can do it. Never before in history have you been able to do that. It's amazing. It's amazing. And yet, I consistently see us demanding conglomeration, aggregation, and with each step of those things, each step away from independence, we see a step that should be a step towards mistrust. Do you trust someone who signs up with the Daily Wire today? Do you trust someone who signs up with the Blaze today? Do you trust someone that signs up with Steven Crowder today? Do you trust someone that signs up with Fox News today? CNN, NBC, ABC, NPR? Maybe some of those answers are yes. That's okay, by the way. That's an okay thing. You can decide that you trust one of those people, one of those groups, one of those organizations. I don't. I've disillusioned myself to all of them. And I like some of them, I really do. I can't countenance this aggregation anymore. And it's coming. You guys know I have a contract with Rumble, right? Very, very obvious. It was announced, all that stuff. Rumble doesn't control what I say. If they did, I would leave immediately. I hope that no one watches me because I'm on Rumble. I hope that people are happy to find me on Rumble because it's the place I'm least likely to be censored. And then I hope that my relationship with Rumble is one of symbiosis. I bring people to Rumble, they keep me on the platform without censoring me. That's the deal. And if that's not the deal, adios, I'll make my own way. But if because I'm on Rumble, you don't trust me, that would be understandable. Absolutely. Same with I'm broadcasting to YouTube right now. I would never ask someone to trust a creator because they're on any platform at all. I think that is the same road to hell that we've been on for a long time. Trust this creator on Gab. Why? First of all, Andrew Torba, kind of weird. But that being said, being on Gab or not being on Gab is irrelevant to the creator's veracity. So with that, I think it's critically fucking important and incumbent upon all of us as consumers to follow creators we like, to diligently look for their things, to intentionally not rely on even a subscription algorithm because they don't work when the platform doesn't want them to work. For us to go walk down the street and drop our 25 cents in the hand of some retarded kid with a, like a crutch in one hand and a stack of papers in the other and say, tell me what the news is today, son. Pick it up. That is on us. And we don't get to bitch about the algorithm anymore. We don't get to bitch about distribution anymore. We don't get to bitch about some fucking system keeping us down as long as we're on it. I can say any number of shit about YouTube and suppression of blah, 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 blah. Great. At least I'm there. I haven't been thrown off yet. Now, you get thrown off, you get to bitch a little bit, right? Censorship, outright censorship is bad. And yes, the manipulation of the algorithm to kind of control information is bad. But if Tim Pool gets censored tomorrow and shadow banned, a bunch of people are still going to search for Tim. They're going to go to Tim Pool's channel and look at the video because they trust him. They trust his reporting. Even if he's going to get some facts wrong, you trust that Tim Pool's opinion is going to be based on him being Tim Pool. And you trust that opinion. Whether you agree or disagree is irrelevant, by the way. Like, I disagree with a bunch of Tim Pool's opinions, but I don't think Tim Pool is a sellout to someone else's opinion. I trust his opinion to be his, even when I think it's retarded. And that's the most important thing. Stitz4, my email is ricadalaw@ricada.org. I saw your message, buddy. So that's what I'm saying. That's the philosophy aspect of this. That's the Tucker Carlson dilemma. Tucker Carlson was on Fox News. And make no mistake, Tucker Carlson was launched into the stratosphere by his presence on Fox News, but also by being Tucker Carlson. Now Fox News is gone. He's gone from Fox News, right? Will he still be Tucker? Probably. Some different capacity? Sure. Do we not trust him because he's not on Fox? Do you still put your faith in Fox News after that? These are questions that you have to answer. I can't answer for you. James O'Keefe, Veritas. Is Veritas the same organization without James O'Keefe? I say no. Other people might be like, yes, I trust them. All of the other people are still working there. Okay, cool. Go for it. Without Veritas, is James O'Keefe the same that he was? Seems to me to be consistent. Seems to still be James to me. I trust him. I trust his perspective. Even if James were to get some facts incorrect, I don't think he's doing so in a nefarious way. I think he's giving us his very honest perspective and his best attempt at the thing. It's up to me to discern whether he's right or wrong, but I know his lens. And if I know his lens, I can look back through it and see what's behind it. That's the critical aspect of this. That is my advocacy against conglomeration and corporatization of media. And with that, we're getting close to the time when I need to switch over to Rumble exclusively from YouTube. So I'm going to go through YouTube Super Chats. We're going to do an advertisement from our corporate sponsor. Ironic, of course. And then I'm going to move over to Rumble. And I'm going to ask the people on YouTube to give it a shot and follow me over there. And then I'm going to incorporate some news stories from current day, like literally today, demonstrating our inability to trust the media, the government, and these corporations. That's what I'm going to do. And I hope you'll join me. I know some of you don't like Rumble, and it may be because you tried it a long time ago and it's improved since then. And it may be because you tried it yesterday and you hate it. That's all okay. That's all okay. For now, that's where I'll be for the rest of the show. Once we kick over to there, there'll be an obvious big announcement. And if you don't want to watch live, you can pull it up later, whatever you want to do. But that's where we're going to go because, again, for better or worse, that's the contract I have for now. RZEQDW says, FYI, there's another path to a green card. Let the eligible bachelorettes in the audience know that I am available. And again, eligible bachelorettes, good dude, solid guy, moneymaker, skilled worker. Hit him up. Hit him up, ladies. Tim Riggs and Murta. Important also that we shift to the audience being the consumer instead of the product. Correct. Eulexic, thank you for the huge donation. There's not a message attached to it, but I really, really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Let's see. Tweety US News says ex-reporter says Nick is saying facts about media. Thank you for the support, brother. I really, really appreciate that. We've also got a huge Rumble rant from Hot Stove is Hot. Says this amazing privilege to communicate is fleeting. It can be yanked from under our feet in an instant. Build with your neighbors and extended community. Then take on your local government. Great advice and a great concept. The biggest fear that any of these things, any of these organizations, government, corporations, media have is that we'll actually just join up together and be united on anything, because that is the biggest threat to their existence. That's it. Tweety has a uterus. Oh, I'm sorry, Tweety. Wait, bigot. Why do you get to determine what a woman is? Okay. There we go. All right. Renegade Shuriken says, Rackets, I wanted to let you know my mom asked if I could play your toast to my stubborn grandma Pearl at her funeral in the near future. Thanks again. Oh, you're welcome. Of course you can, from my perspective, of course. But yeah, much comfort and peace to your family. JD, again, thank you for 13 months as a paralegal or whatever it is. Horsehead. Oh shit. I said I would read it right away and then I forgot. Oh, I was stuck in a rant. Horsehead says, Nick, for those who didn't get to hear Job's Divine Comedy, could you do a recap? I think you should do a whole series. Yes, but not on this show. Not on this show. Monk in Training says, what the hell was that conversation about? I enter a Good Logic stream only to hear Rackets breaks the third commandment at least 1.5 times. I did not break the third commandment ever. Oh my gosh. Hell. Oh, because I said God damn it. Yeah, sure. I don't think God actually cares if I say God damn it. Like, I really don't. I think what God means, and again, this is that whole interpretation thing. I think what God means when he says, don't take the Lord's name in vain, means don't take the Lord's condemnation as your own ability to condemn others. That you somehow get to use God's condemnation in your own selfish interest. I think just me saying God damn it as an epitaph has nothing to do with me actually demanding and ascribing damnation to someone from God. And I think we get so wrapped up. Like, do I think Jesus Christ cares? I'm like, Jesus Christ. I think he's like, oh, hey, what? Oh, no. That's just that Nick guy again. I really think we need to fucking lay off the overly semantic version of that. But I could be wrong. And that's the whole cool part of it. Here we go. Sleepless in Minnesota says, you were killing it on Joe's stream tonight. You haven't been on that level for a while, and I was really enjoying your knowledge and delivery. Hey, there you go. Challenging subjects. And again, a more philosophical approach. I love that I ended up on Joe's show tonight when I had consciously made this decision before I remembered I was on Joe's show tonight. It's like, I'm going to do a show more like this. So there we go. Stephen Watch It Crowder says, agree, media's run amok with hit pieces of ring cams. Squizgar2322 says, Nick, gonna have to cut back on the super chats. He says through a super chat. I just bought my dream car that I can afford, a 2022 Dodge Challenger RT Scat Pack. Oh, go get it, brother. Have fun with that thing. I love hearing that. And never, don't have to explain not super chatting ever. Super chats are a thing that are wonderfully appreciated, unrequired in any way. And again, it's all just an opportunity to interact in a specific way for people who want to. Asia Frazier says, a guy with a set of beliefs but fails miserably. Huh? Sounds like most notable figures in the Bible. Just saying. Kind of a message. Here we go. Legal Layman says, what's that Job verse you keep forgetting? I'll find it and put it. I'll do a whole thing on Job on one of my Sunday shows. Also going to do a stream with Mindset soon about Disney. Got a cool narrative in mind to tell with it. Cool. Guys, check out Legal Layman on YouTube and on Rumble. Not a lawyer, but a layperson who is interested in law and talking about it. If that sounds like your gig, go check it out. Dan Goodwin says, on Tucker, loss of airtime equals loss of compensation. I mean, kinda, yeah. I mean, are you saying, does Tucker have damages for being fired? Of course he does. Sure. Are they? But is it justified or unjustified? That's a whole different question. Patrick T says, telephones and radio. Can we talk about Sanskrit? No. Nintendo Power says, Alphabet Inc. is a Fed laundering op owning 90% of media on the internet and TV. No piece of info reaches you without going through dozens of corporate filters and algorithms that curate the government narrative. It's not entirely true. You can seek out media independently. It's tough. It's hard. Drop Barracuda says, so critical grace theory will be in Rumble. Yes. No, wait, not in Rumble. No, in on Locals when I get around to doing the Sunday talk shows. And they're not going to just be me. Like, I'm going to bring in other people of faith that I know, trust, or respect to talk about their perspectives, which may be wildly different than mine. I have this amazing, uncanny ability that I think a lot of people forget that we all have, to listen to other people, not necessarily come from the same perspective or even agree with them, but to respect their opinion and their ability to kind of learn things or teach us things, right? That's something that we all have, and yet we typically consistently ignore that ability. But that's a whole separate thing. Okay, guys. Speaking of corporations that you absolutely cannot trust, I'm going to talk about our sponsor today, Field of Greens. Fieldofgreens.com is by Brick House Nutrition. Look, I'm telling a joke. Obviously, I love them as a corporation. They have never, ever told me what I can or can't say, how to or not to sell their products. They are consistently great, and they're consistently supporting the show. Field of Greens. Now, I am not going to drink Field of Greens tonight because I do not have a water jug with prepped with me today, because I forgot to grab one when I went on Joe's thing. But I got these fucking lights in the way. But fieldofgreens.com, and you go to and you use promo code NOSE. Let me tell you about it just a little bit. Okay, here we go. This is Field of Greens. Each one of these things contains a shitload, 30 servings. That's a shitload. That's a metric. If you haven't heard of a shitload, it's a metric thing. The fucking king uses it. Anyway, a shitload of fruits and vegetables ground up into a fine powder. Again, 30 servings of this. And what you do is you get a little shaker bottle of water, or you can do it in a cup. It doesn't matter. You scoop 10 grams of this powder into it. You stir it up, and it creates a way to deliver that fruit and vegetable into your body. It is a serving of fruit and vegetables. It's not an extract. It's not an oil. It's not some chemical compound infusion of vitamins and bullshit that are there to ruin your liver or whatever. It's just fruits and vegetables and the health benefits that entails. All right. It's just a consumption of food through a liquid. Hey, what's up, Mr. Beast? What? That's a check mark. That's not the real Mr. Beast, though. That would be ridiculous. So anyway, it's probably one of those channels that changes their name and icon. But cheers to whoever you are. That's cool. So with that, Field of Greens is is this interesting thing where you can get a serving of fruits and a serving of vegetables delivered into your body whenever you want. And it's no other bullshit. All organic, all GMO free, all of those good things. You guys should check them out. And when you do, promo code NOSE. Promo code NOSE. Get yourself a discount. Because look, it's high quality product. It's not the cheapest thing on earth. Let's be honest about it. Not, it's something you want to try out and see if it's right for you. Give it a shot. If you like it, get more of it. If you don't like it, never have it again. That's the trick. They sink or swim on their own merit. I happen to like them. I think it's a great product. I enjoy drinking it. I wish I had one tonight, but most other nights you'll see me drinking Field of Greens at some point. So thanks for that. And thanks for always sponsoring the show. Field of Greens, very much appreciated. Again, fieldofgreens.com, promo code NOSE. It's also in the description of both of these shows, both on Rumble and on YouTube. With that, guys, we are going to sign out of YouTube. We're going to move exclusively to Rumble. All right. We're going to do that. Sign out of YouTube, move exclusively to Rumble. Again, if you need the link to do that, it is in the description of the YouTube video. It's also on Locals. It's also on Twitter, wherever you need to be. All right, guys. I'll catch you over there. Thank you for hanging out with me. And we've got more of the conversation about media, corporations, and government and our necessary distrust of those things and how we fix it and how we solve it over on Rumble. All right, I'll catch you there, guys. Have a good night. If you don't follow us, have a good night, I guess, and we'll see you tomorrow. Real quick. Again, if you're not coming with us because you're a bigot, I will be on Cecil's show tomorrow before my show. 8:30 p.m. Central Time, I believe, is the start time. But look for the announcement. I'll be on Cecil's show before my show on Rumble and YouTube. We'll catch you there. Have a good night, guys. Peace. Peace.
For the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, ladies and gentlemen,